Hi everyone. Today Salesforce Lightning Day 4. Today and tomorrow we will be learning the Lightning. So today Salesforce Lightning Day 4 session. What are we going to learn today's session? What is the outcome of today's session? We are going to see just recap on the previous session of the Lightning, and we will talk about the Lightning component, and then we'll talk about the client side and server side. What is the client side? What is the server side? What is the differences between the client side and server side? And then we will see what are the navigation steps to create a Lightning component. And then we will see when we are creating the new Lightning component, what is the naming rule that we have to follow? And how can we see this Lightning component in developer console? And we will see the demo part of writing the Lightning component, Lightning first Aura component. Then we'll have a quiz, homework, and today's interview. So last class, we have been discussing about the Salesforce Classic, Salesforce Lightning differences. And we have discussed about the Lightning component, what is the Lightning component and what are the Lightning component consist of, and what Lightning component contains, right? Lightning component consists of 8 bundles: component, controller, helper, style, documentation, render, design. And the last one is SVG. These are the one we were discussing last time, right? So we have discussed the component, we have discussed the controller. What is the component? What is the component? What is the extension we will have on the component?
.cmp.
.cmp. Right. So component, we use it for implementing the user interface. So the extension of the component is .cmp. And the logic we will write inside the Lightning component by using the technologies called HTML, Aura, and Lightning design system. And by using the component, we will implement UI designing. And the next one is controller. Extension is JS, but the component name is, for example, Hello World. So the controller name will be component name plus controller. So if your component name is Hello World, it will be Hello World controller.js. And the logic, whatever we are writing the logic, we will be implementing the logic using the JavaScript. What kind of a logic we will be writing it? All client side server logic we will be writing. And the helper is, the extension is JS. Extension is JS, and the component name is component name plus it will add the helper. So if your component name is Hello World, then Hello World helper.js. The logic which we will build using the JavaScript in helper. And the logic we will write related to the client server logic, as well as we will call the server side logic from the helper. From the helper, we will call the Apex. Style extension is .css. So the component name .css. So what we will write the logic here inside the style, all the CSS script, all the styling related code, we will write it inside this element. So here we have a style, position, color. So if you want to change any styling, if you want to change any font, or if you want to change a position, if you want to change a color, then what we will do, we will use the style. Documentation. For the documentation, extension is .aura doc. So component name .aura doc. So documentation, we will be implementing, we will writing the code by using the XML, HTML, and Aura, XML, HTML, and Aura. And we will be building the logic of document. Basically, the document we will be implementing in the documentation. Renderer. Renderer is, we have an extension called JavaScript, JS.js. So the component name plus you will be adding the renderer. So the component name for the renderer is, if it is a hello world, your component. So hello world renderer.js. The logic we will be writing is JavaScript. Why we use the renderer? To refresh or to reload the component, certain component if we wanted to reload, or certain component if we wanted to refresh, then we will use the renderer. The next one is design. Design extension is dot design. Design extension is dot design. So it will be component name dot design. And the logic we will be writing is Aura XML design. Aura XML design. And why we use this design? To build a background or to build a structure. So we will be using this. And next one is SVG. SVG is nothing but scalar vector group. Scalar vector group is used to build the icons, shapes, and the extension is .svg. So the component name .svg. Now, current, we will be not using these two. Design and SVG, we will not be using these two, because initially Salesforce has released the 8 bundle. But after certain releases, Salesforce has released concept called LDS. Lightning Design System. Lightning Design System. So using the Lightning Design System, you can implement the icons, you can implement the shapes, you can implement the design, what are the design, structure, background, everything can be implemented by using the LDS. So LDS is this replacement, 7th design, SVG, and some kind of a styles, not every style, but some kind of a styles will be included in the LDC. So whenever we implement a Aura component, if we are using the LDS, we do not use this design, we don't use the SVG. So nowadays, nobody is using it in real time. So these are the 8 bundles. Lightning component consists of 8 bundles. What are those?
Excuse me, like now we are learning like what or Visual Force parallelly, ma'am. Okay.
So what are the 8 bundles we have?
Component, controller, helper, style, documentation, blender.
Right. 8 components. Lightning component consists of 8 bundles. Component, controller, helper, style, documentation, renderer, design, SVG. Now, let's take a step back. First of all, let's understand client side and server side. What is a client side? What is the meaning of client side?
UI. Implementing business logic using LWC or Aura.
No, that's
logic in client is not client side.
Okay.
server side is
By using
Client side is nothing but process that takes place on the user's computer. Any process, any calculation, or task execution, anything that we are doing, that means any process that I'm running. So process that takes place on the user machine. But what I need on this, in order to process something on the user's computer, what do I need? What are the required here? The required things are browser. Along with the internet, you need to have a browser to run the script on the client machine. If I wanted to execute some logic, or if I wanted to execute a task on the client side, in order to process that, whatever the task or whatever the requirements are there that runs on the user's computer is called client side. By using the browser, we will run the script on the client machine that's get executed within the client machine itself. So that is nothing but client side. What is the server side? Server side is process takes on the web server. Process takes on the web server. So if you are executing some logic, if you are executing a logic in the client machine, when you are executing the logic in the client machine here, what it has to do in order to save the data or in order to calculate something or in order to fulfill the requirement, it has to connect the server. It has to send the data to server. It cannot be done here. It cannot be done on the client machine. You have to touch, anyway, you have to touch it, touch the server side. You have to touch the server side. So server side is nothing but the process takes the place. If there are any calculation, any execution that happens on the server is nothing but server side. Client side is nothing but where the execution is happening on the user's computer. Execution is happening on the user's computer is nothing but client side. Now, what are the differences between the client side and server side? Client side, if you write logic into the client side, that does not need any interaction with server. It need not to depend on server. Without talking to the server, the logic can be executed in the client side. Whereas the server side, it requires the interaction with the server. You have to hit the server, then only you will get the response. And client side, all the logic or all the process runs on the user's computer. All the logic process that runs on the user's computer. Whereas server side, it runs on the web server. Server side, all the logic and requirement execution, everything runs on the web server. Now client side, it reduces because it is running the logic on the user's computer, it reduces the load on the server. Whatever the load is there on the server, it will reduce it. Because client side logic says that, okay, don't worry about it. I can execute it in the client, in the computer or in the user's machine without talking to you. So I can take care of it. So that means finally it is reducing the load on the server's processing unit. Whereas server side, it is hitting the server. So every time whenever you do any action, even for single click, single button, or if you are entering the data, for every now and then you have to talk to the server in order to store and recollect the data or modifying the data. Every time you need to talk to the server. So that means you are ultimately increasing the processing load on the server. Now, the language which is used in the client side is HTML, CSS, JavaScript. By using the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, we can implement a client-side logic. Whereas server-side languages, for examples, PHP, ASP.NET, Python, what are these? These are whenever you write any program or whenever you write executing some program in the ASP.NET or a PHP or Python, first of all, that has to, if it has to execute any logic, if it has to execute any task, these languages should need to talk to server. These languages need a server connection, then only it will show the output. Whereas HTML, CSS, JavaScript, on fly you can write the code and you can see the output. Example, W3 School. W3 school is not talking to the database, right? Whenever you test it, whenever you do the testing, like you open the HTML. Let me open HTML here. So if I say HTML bullet points, and it will open the W3 schools. And here we will be having some option called try itself. Now, whatever I'm doing here, whatever I'm doing the changes, right? So what are the changes I'm doing it? Is it talking to the server? No, it is not talking to the server. It's whatever you are writing in your machine, it's executing on your machine. When you click on a run button, it's running the logic on the client side. It's not hitting the server side and bringing back to show you the data. No, it's not doing that. So this is one of the example where we have a client side and server side. Any questions before I move on? Client side, server side.
So this only client side only helpful for developing UI.
No, logic also you can write. What
So
are we doing
logic
it here? Am I doing the UI or am I doing some logic here?
Okay, like can create an application also with the help of
Yes.
this.
So this is the application. I wanted to build a restaurant menu I wanted to build. So I can implement using the HTML. What I'm doing here, am I doing the UI or implementation app? What I'm building here, I can implement it. I can write this logic and show the details here. And for execution, I can write a JavaScript logic also.
Yeah, when we use this client side logic and server side logic, and when we use server side logic,
it's depending on the developer. Okay, so that let me tell you clearly. If you are perfect, if you are 100% good in the JavaScript, you can go ahead and implement the logic. There are two ways are there. One way is if you are really good in the JavaScript, whatever the requirements comes from the client, whatever the requirement comes from the client, if you are able to implement in the client side, then you can implement that without touching the server side.
Ma'am, now like Visualforce is a server side, right? So, but we are using HTML and CSS, right? We are not using like Python and all.
Will you able to implement the logic in the Visualforce without touching the server side?
Oh.
Client side, there are two requirements are there. Okay, one, when the developer will go for client side, when the developer will go to the server side. One scenario is where you do not find, like you feel that, okay, if I have to implement, if I have to execute certain logic, if I have to execute certain logic, if you have to execute a certain logic, if developer feels that I need to talk to server side in order to get the data, the result I need it, but in order to get the result, I need to talk to server side. Without talking to the server side, I might not get. This is one situation which will be faced by the developer. If they feels that, okay, I need to go and write the logic in the Apex, server side is nothing but Apex. I need to write a logic in the Apex, then only I can build it. Then go ahead and call the server side. There is another scenario is few requirements can be built only client side, not require the server side. but this person has to be perfect in the JavaScript. If the person is 100% perfect in the JavaScript, or not 100%, I can say at least 60-70% also fine. So if the person is very good in the JavaScript, go ahead and write the same logic in the client side. But if you feel that maybe that is complicated to write the logic, it is easy for me to write a logic in the server side. Now you go ahead and write the server side logic. But when you are doing this JavaScript server side, when you are doing this, you have to check the performance. You have to check the performance because you are implementing. You means developer is implementing the logic in client side and server side. Now the question is client side, how much time it is taking, server side, how much time is it taking? If server side, is it taking too much of time to get the result? If it is taking more than 5 seconds, that is lot, user cannot wait. So in that case, user is going to raise a performance issue. Better I'll try to find out some solution in the JavaScript instead of writing the logic in the server side. So in that scenario, the developer takes a decision, let me implement everything into the JavaScript, because I see that if I use a server side, it is taking a time for me to get the result, because server side has a lot of logic that needs to be executed. Now, can I shift that logic into JavaScript? Is that possible or not? So is decided by the developer. If in another way, if I have to tell, sometimes DML operations, data manipulation language, DML operations, if you are able to perform it in the client side, go ahead. If you are not able to perform in the client side, now come to the server side and write the logic to insert or update whatever you wanted to do it. Okay. We can also do the DML operation in client side in Salesforce. There are few scenarios which we can do. There are few scenarios we can do DML operation in client side, but it has to be done through the server side. When I say DML operation, we have a parent and child, right? One-to-many relationship, many-to-many relationship is there. Now, when you are performing the DML operation on the child, when you are performing the DML operation on child or grandchild, or if you wanted to take another many-to-many relationship one, okay, multiple childs, you wanted to update it. In those scenario, you might have to call the server side. You cannot be doing that in the client side. Now, keep this question because we will be doing the practicals on this, when to go server side, when to go client side. But this is ideal situation that developer will be facing it when they are implementing the Lightning, when to go server side, when to go client side. So right now, remember that if you are perfect, you can do it even for the child also. If you think that I can do the DML operation without calling the Apex, go ahead and do it in the JavaScript. If you think that I cannot do DML operation in JavaScript, I need to touch a server side because I need to query some other data. I need to check the profile permissions. I need to check who is the user profile. Does he has a read access, edit access, or create access? I need to check all those conditions. And I need to verify all other data. In that case, yes, you have to touch the server side. Okay, so navigation. Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am. Can we retrieve the data from client side?
Yes, we have some functionality in Salesforce. Okay, so directly you can fetch the data from one object. You cannot fetch from multiple object, but one object data you can fetch it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So basically, if you, that's actually the good one to explain client side when to use, server side when to use. Okay. For example, I have an account. Okay. I have an account, right? And there is another scenario that I need the data from account, related contact, and related opportunities. I need all this information. If it is an account, yes, you can do it in the client side. Fetch the data directly in Lightning. Because one object data you can directly fetch. You can directly fetch in Lightning. But whereas if you have a relationship, if you are looking for a multiple object data, then this time you cannot call multiple object data directly into the Lightning. For this, Lightning has to call server side. For this, you need to call a server side, because here what you are doing it, you need a more information, that to connected information. Account, for this account, whatever the related contact, and for this account and contact related opportunity. Basically, we are pulling the relationship here, relationship and related data I am pulling all together. From multiple objects, I am pulling the data. If you are pulling the data from multiple objects, you need a server side. If you want to fetch directly from one object and do the DML operation, go ahead and fetch it from the Lightning. No need of server side.
And where the data gets saved, madam, when we are doing client side part, like it will be like separate database
Salesforce
for it,
database.
like. Okay.
Basically, it's a request, na? Because server client side, it's a database was saved. And we have to fetch. It's a request, na?
Salesforce has given some pre-built here. Okay, pre-built component they have given. I don't want to tell right now because everybody will get confused. There is a pre-built component Salesforce has given. By using this, what they will do is they will fetch the data. Now, this pre-built component is going to look for, okay, let me do. Okay, I have implemented a component. This is my component, XYZ component. In this XYZ component, I have mentioned in the component account. I mentioned the object called account. Within this component, I'm going to insert a pre-built component. On main component, I'm going to insert a pre-built component. This pre-built component, what it will do, it will take all the data. We have an attribute, some attributes are there where we are mentioning some specific data in the pre-built component. So what it will do, it will look for what are the attributes are there. Okay, take those attributes, but from where these attributes data is they are looking for, then go ahead and talk to the main component. Okay, they are talking about the account. So that means what it will do pre-built, first it will go to the object, and inside this object, what are the fields that is expected? Developer has to mention here the field, which data are you expecting from this object? So first it will go to the object, and after going into the object, inside that it will go to the fields. Which fields data are you expecting it? And then it will fetch the data. It will fetch the data and give it to it will show back to the UI. If you have any UI, it will show back to the UI. Now I am fetching the data. How it is going to fetch the data here? Basically, it has to go to the database. It has to go to the database. It will go to the database. Okay, so for example, here I have a component. Okay, they have written the pre-built component. So Salesforce look at your code. So Salesforce, what they will do, they will decode the logic, whatever you have written. You have written in the single line, one of the pre-built code you have written. So that is in single line you have written. So what Salesforce will do, they will look at what is the logic that you have written within the component. So they will take that component and they will decode that component. Decode in a sense, if you have written something called Apex input, if you have written Apex input. So what Salesforce does, Salesforce this decode this. How it is going to decode? They will decode in the HTML format. It's like your input. And then they have some code here. Okay, they will be decoding the logic. After decoding the logic, now what is expected output of this component? What is the expected output of this component? Is what is the expected output? Okay, pre-built, we have decoded, I have understood. In the when I'm executing the Salesforce code, there is a object is expected here. Which object? So it will go back and check which object. Okay, account object. Okay, I got the account object. So mandatory data, I got it, which is nothing but account. And within the account, what are the data that they are looking at? Then again, it will have to, it will ask the main component which fields they are looking at. Okay, these are the fields that is looking at. Now, this code will send the data to the Salesforce. After decoding, it will connect to database. Okay, in database, I have 130 objects are there. In database, I have 130 objects are there. Now it will tell only look at the account object. So, okay, it will find the only account object and it will fetch the data. It will see the data and it will take the data, send it to back to this component and through this Salesforce decoding part, and then it will show back to the UI. So you can say that fetching the data, or you can say that it is a requesting from the database. Request response. I'm requesting the data and response has been sent by database and it will display the data.
Yeah, Swapna. Regarding this, it's a local server. We have a local Salesforce is connecting database right now. Correct?
Yes.
In that, we have like parallelly account object is here, assume it, and contact. Right now, yellow color account, and here is contact is object. We have write a SOQL query for that thing. Then it's fetching that local database or Salesforce database only, no? For that
Salesforce
thing.
database, it will fetch the Salesforce database.
But it's a request and response. Maybe it's a local only, na? It's a server. We have to connect, na? Basically.
Your question on the SOQL. Okay.
Yeah.
Your SOQL is only on the account object, or you want an account and contact?
Both account and contact. I have a get the phone number from that same account object from that.
If you need a both object data,
Yeah.
You will you able to implement that in the client side?
Sorry.
Will you able to implement account and contact? Will you able to implement the logic to fetch account and contact data?
Yeah.
How will you?
No, we can't. No, we can't, because only one object can be done with the client side. So it's asking for the related one.
Yeah, say account object, same name, we have to like based on the contact, we have a
Okay, so I cannot hear you.
Yeah, it's why. Madam, actually, like, see, in the beginning classes, like what you and me, generally we learned that, okay, like, lightning been introduced for the you building much more, like, rich kind of UI. So, but even we are going with the application also, that means in the future, if we keep developing this particular lightning part, so once the role of Apex will be get reduced, or there will be only for certain part we use Apex then?
That's what we just started with the lightning. We have not completed the lightning. Okay, the more we go on, we will be seeing the how to use the client side, how to use the server side. Okay, so LWC is the one of the one which is going to, I cannot say it will completely reduce it. You will be using the server side. Definitely, there is a possibility that we will be using the logic in the client side as well as the server side.
In Lightning also Apex will be possible again?
Yes.
Okay.
That Apex is used in the lightning.
Sorry?
Only 5 to 10% of Apex is used in the lightning part.
Yes, that's what I have explained in the starting.
Yes, ma'am. You told that on first. Yes,
That only. So okay, madam. The questions keep rising. Like again, it can be a debate. Like okay, you can continue.
Ram, are you clear?
Yes. Okay, somewhat accurate. I have to see.
Okay. Now, navigation steps to create a lightning component. Log into the Salesforce, click on setup, click on developer console, and on the developer console, click on file, new, and we have an option called lightning component. So when you click on the lightning component, this is the window you will see. This is the window you will see to where it will ask to enter the lightning component name. Now here we have a name, description, so many information is there on this window, right? So name is nothing but what is the name that you wanted to keep. If you are going to create a component name, what should be the name of the component? So we always have to give a name of the component which will explain what is the logic that I'm going to write inside the component. So it has to be related. And the description will be the, you can give more information about the component. Like this component is used to display the user interface registration form. This form is to show only the patient data. This component is used to display the only account details. So we can give more information what is this component is doing. Now, component configuration. Component configurations are optional. But what are these? Yes, it is optional, but what are these? Component configuration has a different options here. As you see here, it has a lightning tab, lightning page, lightning record page, experience builder site page, lightning quick action. Lightning tab, lightning page, lightning record page, experience builder site page, lightning quick action. Now, lightning tab in a sense, what is the lightning tab? If you check this lightning tab, that means create a component to use navigation element in lightning experience. What is lightning experience here?
UI part of the Salesforce.
UI part. So that means if I go to the sales, let's click on the app launcher, view all. Let's go on sales. So this is lightning experience. If you want to create a component, right? These are the called tabs, home tab, opportunities tab, lead tab, task tab, files tab, accounts tab, contacts tab, campaign tab, dashboard tab, reports tab. These are called tab. If you want to implement a Lightning component, if you want to create a component to use a navigation element, that means by clicking on the some tab, you want to navigate this component. In that case, you can use Lightning tab. Now, Lightning page. So if you check the Lightning page, what will happen? If you check the Lightning page, is nothing but if you want to create a component to use a Lightning page or a Lightning app builder. What is the Lightning app builder?
Builder where we can create a drag and drop like kind of application, like we can create with the help of drag and drop.
If you click on the account, click on this setting, go to the edit page.
Edit page.
If you click on the edit page, where it will be redirected to the Lightning app builder. So if you want to implement a page, if you want to implement a page similar like a details page, related page, or some like this, if you wanted to place it, or if you want to place here one component, then what we can do is we can use the Lightning page checkbox. By clicking on that, enter the name, enter the description. If you want anything this, check that and submit it. What is the Lightning record page here? Lightning record page is nothing. If you want to create a component to use one record home page in Lightning experience. The record page. Okay, I'll be showing this as an example, so don't worry. The record page is nothing but if you want to create a component to use on a record home page. Record home page. What is the record? What is the record here?
Rows are nothing but records.
Rows and columns.
Rows and
The data existing.
Yes.
rows.
So whatever we are seeing here, Infosys record, Tech Mahindra record, Dell record, support group record, Goodwill email record. So if you want to use on the record home page in Lightning experience, check that Lightning record page. Now experience builder site page. Experience builder site page. If you check that, what will happen? In case if you want to create a component, right? It's similar like a drag and drop in the Lightning experience builder. If you want to place the page, okay? So this one and the Lightning page, Lightning tab, Lightning record page is similar. This is basically you wanted to use this wherever you want, maybe right side, left side, wherever I wanted to drag it, I can use the experience builder site page. And Lightning quick action is nothing but if you want to implement a component, if you want to create a component that you wanted to use it as a Lightning quick action. What is the Lightning quick action? What is the quick action? Quick action is nothing but a button. If you click on record, go to the edit object. This time click on the edit object. Open the record, click on a setup, click on edit object. If you click on the edit object, you will be redirected to the object manager for that particular object. Now here you see button, links, quick action. Button, links, quick action. Now if you wanted to implement a button or action, action is nothing but basically a button. So if you wanted to implement a button where it says that you wanted to call Lightning component, You wanted to call a lightning component. Then in that case, you check that lightning quick action. Check the lightning quick action. Now, if I check this and if I submit it, what will happen? What will happen if I check this? Hold on a second. These are basically interfaces. These are interfaces. What are these? These are interfaces. If you check, there is an interface will be added to your component. You need not to write any other logic if you wanted to create a quick action. If you want to create if you want to enable a lightning quick action for your component, you just need to check this box so that it will be enabled for the quick action. Now I'll show you how it is going to enable practically. Whenever we are creating the lightning component, make sure the naming rules are applied on the lightning component. Aura component name must follow the naming rule. What are those? So basically, it has to begin with a letter. It has to begin with letter. And it should contain only alphanumeric and underscore. The name of the Aura component should contain only alphanumeric or underscore characters. And it must be unique in the namespace. It must be unique in the namespace. That means you cannot create a same name again. If you have created a lightning component called hello world, you cannot create another component with the name of hello world. So it has to be unique in the namespace. What should not happen cannot include the white space. While writing the lightning component name, should not add any spaces between the word to word and cannot edit underscore, end the underscore. That means after writing your code or after writing your name, like you have written hello world. After writing the hello world, if you type here underscore, like you say that hello world. Now after this, if you say underscore, this should not work. This will not work. You cannot do that. Now you cannot contain the consecutive underscores, means 2 times of underscore continuously, you cannot keep it. So Aura component must begin with letter and it should be alphanumeric or character and must be unique in the namespace. What should not be? There should not be any white space. There should not be any underscore at the end of the name. And there should not be any continuous consecutive underscores. Now, developer console. Here, when you open the developer console, this is how you see. So the first one is menu bar. The first one is menu bar. In this menu bar, you will see file, edit, debug, test, white space, help. These are the options which are available. And the second one is workspace. This is the workspace to build the application. This is the workspace to build the application. And the third one, you see here the third one, it is a sidebar where all the lightning component, it's showing the bundle here, bundle, lightning component bundle consists of 8 components. It is showing the 8 components, which is called lightning bundle. So it shows the lightning bundle component, controller, helper, style, documentation, renderer, design, SVG. Now, in this sidebar, if you want to create a component, if you want to create a controller, if you want to create a helper, or if you want to open anything, then what you will do is you will click on a specific bundle. You will click on specific component. You will click on a helper if you want to write a logic. If you want to write a logic in the controller, you will click on this so that it will enable. So either to create or open, if you want to open any of them to see. So you have to click on this so that it will be open. Now, next thing is that whenever the lightning component is created, you will see two tabs. One is your lightning component name. Another one is lightning component.cmp. By default, it will be CMP. And right, so it will be as soon as you create a lightning component by entering the, like in previous session, the window which you have seen, right, the screenshot there, suppose you have entered the name and you clicked on a submit. As soon as you click on a submit, you will see two tabs. One tab is description, one tab is with the name of component, like a testing aura with the name of component, and the second tab is name of the component .cmp. But default, your focus will go on to the .cmp. This screen, the focus will go. The focus will go on this screen. Now, what is this tab? This is basically description information. You can close it. You need not to do anything on this. This is just an information. This is just an information tab. You can close it, nothing will happen. If you close this also, nothing will happen. Right. And the second thing is that whenever the component is created, by default, your component starts with aura : component. By default, your component starts with open aura : component and ends with close aura : component. Close aura : component. Any questions till this point? Okay, now let's go ahead and see one of the example. Now let's click on the developer console. How to navigate it? To create a lightning component.
File, new.
Lightning component.
See here, this is the screen. The screen is divided into three sections. One is the name, description, and the third one is component configuration. Now we are going to create today first aura class. Aura component. Description, this is example component. For December batch. Click on submit. I'm not selecting this. Okay, I'm not selecting it. It's an optional. Click on it, submit. Now, when you click on a submit, by default, it will be landed onto the component name .cmp. Now you have another here, one more component name is, this is a description, just your information. You need not to do anything on this. You can close this. You need not to worry about that. Now your component starts with aura : component and ends with end aura : component. Now here you see the bundle, component, controller, helper, style, documentation, renderer, design, SVG. Now we are in the component. That's the reason it is not showing here create. But if you click on this, for example, you wanted to see how it is coming. Now, if you click on this, double click on it. When you double click on it, when you click on that, not double click, when you click on that, it will give you this. As soon as it is open, then the create option will go on. Now I'll click on this helper. So when you click on this, again, the helper is created, the create option gone, right? So which are the component that you wanted to implement, just click on it so that it will open. Now our focus is on CMP component. Now here you see build bundle version settings. What is this bundle version settings? If you click on this bundle version settings, it will show API version, your component API version. If you wanted to change, you can change it, but current version is 56. If you want to change this, you can change it and save it. But current version is 56. So if anytime if you wanted to know in production also, if the component is implemented long back, you are not there. Now you have joined the company. Now you wanted to check what is this component version. Click on this bundle version settings and see here what is the version is there. So you can see this, close this. Clear? So now I'll write it. Hi. I'll say I'm Swapna. I'll say teaching Salesforce course. I'm just writing the text here. I'm just writing the text. Like, yes, I'm just writing the text here and I'll click on save. Now, how to view the UI here? I have written the logic. Okay, assume that I have implemented, I have written something. Now, where can I see this? How can I see the UI?
In Lightning application.
In application.
We have to create a new Lightning application. For creating the new Lightning application, file, new, click on a Lightning application. Now, by default, it will give you the previous one, but remove this. If you wanted to remove, you can remove it. But if you wanted to create a same for the application, create a first Aura component app. This is an example application. Right? So Lightning application also has 3 sections. One is name of the application. What is your application name? Description, if you want to give more information about the application. And then application configuration. We have something called Lightning Out dependency app. Hold on for that. Okay, we will come to that point. Now don't check anything, click on a submit. When you click on a submit, again it will create 2 tabs. One is a description tab, another one is your component.app. For the application extension is app. Now close this description because you do not need. Now for application, you see it is starting with Aura : application, whereas component it is starting with Aura : component. Component it is starting Aura : component. Application it is starting Aura : application. Application. Now application is also has 7 components in the bundle. As I have discussed yesterday, last class. So application instead of component here, in component what we were having component, but in the application it is application, right? And the component controller. Here also it is a controller. And we have a helper in the component. Application also has the helper. Style is there. So style also there in the application. Documentation is also there in the component and application. Now renderer is also there. Design is missing. Now what is the differences that you have here, application and component?
Design bundles. No.
Both are
Yeah.
bundle
Lightning component,
application.
lightning.
Lightning application.
Now, when we create a new lightning component, what is by default code will be displayed?
Apex.
Apex component.
Aura component.
Aura colon component.
Aura
Why it is coming Apex colon? Aura component.
Component.
It starts with Aura component, ends with
And
Aura
Aura
component.
component.
How about in the lightning Aura?
Application.
Aura.
Aura colon?
Application.
Aura colon application. Starts with Aura colon application and ends with Aura colon. Aura colon application and ends with Aura colon application. What is the extension for component?
CMP.
CMP. Dot CMP. Component name
Dot
dot
CMP.
CMP.
Component name dot CMP.
CMP.
Here lightning Aura.
Application API.
Component name dot app. Right? And what is lightning component consist of? How many it consists of?
8 bundles.
8 bundles.
What are those?
Component. Controller.
Documentation.
Helper.
Helper.
Style.
Renderer. Style.
Documentation.
Renderer.
Renderer.
Design. SVG.
Design
Design.
design and SVG.
So total 8 we have. How about here? How many we have?
7.
7. Application. Controller.
Instead of a component, we have a application.
Application.
Controller. Helper.
Style.
Documentation. Renderer.
And SVG.
And SVG. Design is not there. Right? So this is the differences between the lightning component and lightning application. Lightning component and lightning application. In lightning application also, we can write the logic. In Lightning component also, we can write the logic. Logic can be written in Lightning component. Logic can be written in application also. But there is a differences how it displays in the UI. Okay, we will see what are the differences. But for now, assume that you can write a logic here and you can write a logic in component, you can write a logic in the application. Now we have written the logic, right? In order to execute this logic, we created an application. And we see here preview button, there is a preview button. So by clicking on this preview button, you can see the output. But how can I call the component here? What is the way of calling the component? How can I call a Lightning component in Lightning application? Call Lightning component. How can we call? For calling, we have to use C colon. We have to use
Lightning component
C
name.
colon, and then after the colon, mention the component name. Mention the component name. C is nothing but, remember, like a component. C is nothing but, remember, component. C colon, call the component name. What are the component name you have given? Just call it. Do not put any extension, .cmp. No, don't put anything. Just put the component name. So this is the syntax for calling the Lightning component from. What are the places you can call? You can call the Lightning component from Lightning application. You can call from other Lightning component. If you have a multiple components, if you want to call, there is a components called A, and A component, B component, C component. Okay. Now, if you wanted to call, if C component wants to call the A, you can use here. In C component, you can write C colon A and A component, B component, D component. If D component wants to call the A component, then what is the code that we have to write? We have to write C colon, mention the component name A. Right? Mention the component name A. Is it clear? Any questions?
One question, Swapna. If one, I mean, like one application can call many components.
Yes, application can call many components.
Okay.
Lightning component also call many components. So there is no restriction how many components we have to call. There is no restriction on that.
Okay.
Okay, so this is another component tag. It's a self tag, self close tag. It's another component, Lightning component tag. It is.
So madam, one question, like, can we call, like, means we always call the component from the parent component or from child component we can?
D is a child component or parent component? Like, first of all, that is big confusion.
Yeah, exactly.
Do we have
It's
any
an
relationship
independent,
here?
I think.
Do we
It's
have?
independent.
Sorry?
No, there is no relation between ABD.
No relation. There is no
Okay.
relation here. I'm not talking about parent, child, nothing. I'm not talking about it. We have implemented A component. We have implemented a B component. We have implemented a D component. We'll come to the relationship later. That is another topic. Here I have a 3 components. Now the D components want to talk to A component. So I can directly call. Now, for example, right now, Lightning application. In the Lightning application, I wanted to call. So if I what I wanted to call the Lightning component, which is called first aura component. So C colon first aura component. Now, what will happen if I write this logic? At the back end, what is going to happen if I write this logic? I have written 3 lines of a code. I have written 3 lines of a code. But does that 3 lines of a code is like it will fulfill my logic? See, the Salesforce has how much code they have reduced it. Right? Here it will take, this is the Salesforce. It will take this, aura is a namespace here. Decode it. As I have explained last time, decode it. This is a namespace. And this is my component name. What is the component name here? Component name is application. Component name is application. Now, as soon as I click on a preview, I will click on top, there is a button called preview. When I click on this preview button, so what will happen on clicking on this preview button, it will send the hint to Salesforce. It will send the hint to Salesforce. Somebody has clicked on a preview. On this preview button also, there is a logic which is written by the Salesforce. On preview button also, there is a logic which is written by the Salesforce. Otherwise, how this action is working? On click on this preview, execute some logic. How this logic is working? Because on this click of this button, Salesforce has written the logic at the back end. Whenever I click on this, send this logic, whatever the logic is there, send this logic to Salesforce so that they will decode the logic. Whatever you have written the logic in the 3 lines, they might be having the 20 lines of code or 100 lines of code. Now, again, it will decode this. Okay, they are talking about the application. Inside the application, okay, they are calling the components. What is that component? Yes, we have a component name, which is called first aura component. Now, let me go back to the org and see whether they have a component. Yes, they have a component. What is the logic is written in this component? Get that logic here. Get that logic and decode the logic. Okay, we have understood whatever they have written. There is no errors while executing it. Perfect, no issues while executing their logic. Then send this information, show this information on the UI. In case if there is any error, it will throw an error. So this entire, all the executions happens at the backend. All the executions happens at the backend. Now, if I click on a preview, what happened? It is opening and showing me the details. Now, do not compare here Visualforce and Aura. For a second, keep the Visualforce aside and Aura. Just focus on the Aura. Now here we are in the lightning.force.com org. We are in lightning.force.com org. Now what is this C? Component. We are viewing the component. This is your application name. This is your application name. It doesn't show the component name here. It just shows the application name. And on this application, there is a component which is written to show this information. Which is written to show this information. Right? For example, if I write another logic, let's say, okay, I'll say that you can use the HTML tags here, no issues. In Aura also, you can use the HTML tags. So I teach Salesforce, admin, development, Lightning, integration, right? So CI/CD. Okay, so these are the things I teach. So let's go here. I need not to click on the preview again. Do I need to click on the preview? If I refresh this, automatically this information will be populated. This is sample text if you wanted to display. If you wanted to divide that, if you wanted to divide the output, you can use the paragraph. Use a paragraph between that. So paragraph, because I need a space for each one of them. Let's refresh. Now, it's running, lot of logic is running at the back end. Now, if you click on this, right click on this page, right click on this page and click on inspect. Click on inspect. Now, inspect this particular one. Right? Yes, this is the one. Now, have you returned this data hyphen aura hyphen rendered by equal to 5.0 high and Swapna and then closing the paragraph? Did you return this? No, you have not written. You just written the P. But Salesforce has decoded here. Salesforce decoded the thing and it is showing the information here. So there's a lot of things which gets executed when we write the logic and click on a preview button. So if you want, you can see, right click on this page, click on a inspect. If you click on a inspect, you will see like whatever the HTML logic is there, you can see what are the decoding happened here. And there are some stylings are automatically applied. Aura message box, text align center. Now this is not applied yet. Width 200, it's not applied. This is line is not applied. Aura message box display. None. And then margin, there is nothing has applied. Now this is not applied. No, no. Now this is displaying similar to whatever is just normal it is displaying. Do you see any kind of a styling or anything do you see here? No, right?
Yes. No.
But for example, if you want to apply a style, while executing this, if you want to apply style, that means I wanted to execute this logic, but also I wanted to force LDS styling. When I say LDS styling, we have a SLDS, right? Lightning Design System. Lightning Design Systems. So there are Lightning Design Systems are there. I wanted to apply those Salesforce Lightning Design System. That means while executing this application, I wanted to force, I want to force application to apply a Lightning Design System. I wanted to force to apply Salesforce Lightning Design System. If I have to force that, information, where can I write? Now this is the component. In Lightning application, every every lightning component has a attributes similar like a visual force. Even lightning aura also has a attributes, but there is no mandatory attributes. One is extends. There is some attribute called extends equal to force colon SLDS, force colon extend DS. What is this means? This means we are writing the application here. We are implementing the application, and inside this application, we are writing some logic. Here, what we are doing, we are calling the component. We are calling the component. Now, when you click on a preview button here, when you click on a preview button or update preview, when you click on a preview button, execute this logic. Go ahead and execute this logic. But along with that, apply the Lightning design systems. Apply Salesforce Lightning design system. Force is nothing but it's one of the interface keyword. Okay, I'll explain that later. But for now, force is nothing but a interface keyword. Is any question on this?
Swapna, can we, implement this in design file? Style design, these files are there, right? So
yes, you can apply it. You can apply, go to the component or go to the style, put here style. You can add those stylings here. Okay. There is a other way to apply it, but instead of you are spending a time, like if you want to bring this, if you wanted, okay, it is already applied. Now, if you wanted to change, now this is the one which is, now this is how it is there. Now, if you wanted to change similar format, when I say similar format is nothing but how the Salesforce text is there. Yeah, Salesforce font. If you want to bring this font, how much time do you have to spend here? Right click, inspect, see what is that text align, and you have to see what is the font family. And you need to check every and each. Almost 30 minutes you will be spending, 30 minutes to 40 minutes to update the styling and the font color, everything. Instead of wasting a time on the styling, what we can do is we can apply extends. That means I'm extending this application. Extends equal to force colon
SLDS.
SLDS, Salesforce Lightning Design System. Salesforce Lightning Design System extends. Extends equal to force colon Lightning Design System. If I apply this, now automatically my UI will be changed. It will be similar, like the styling will be applied. The styling will be applied. You see here, the styling has applied here.
Yes.
Okay. So basically in application, every time whenever we execute it in real time, if you are testing, if you are working in a project, okay, you wanted to test that component before I give it to the testing team or before I place it onto the Salesforce, I wanted to test how that is working, how it is working. In case if you wanted to test in real time, we always use the extends equal to force colon SLDS. Force colon SLDS. We always use the force colon SLDS. That means I am applying the Lightning design system on this application. Within this application, whatever the logic is going to write, or whatever the component we are calling in this. I might call one component, I might call two components, I might call three components, doesn't matter. Whatever the components I'm calling or whatever the logic I'm writing it, by default, when you are showing the UI, show me as a Salesforce styling. Apply the Lightning design system and show me this. Apply the Lightning design system and show me the output. That means similarly, I'm expecting similar output, which is font style, Salesforce fonts, Salesforce style, Salesforce button style, or Salesforce header style, right? Everything I wanted to apply. Means whatever is there in this Lightning design system, utilities, token, icons, tools, layout, fonts, anything, whatever is there in that Lightning design system, go ahead and apply it. Go ahead and apply it, so that I feel, though I have written the custom component, though I have implemented the custom component, but for user, it looks like a Salesforce. For user, they feel a Salesforce. So the feeling, the view of the Salesforce doesn't change. The view of the Salesforce doesn't change. If I'm implementing the component, if I'm doing the customization, by using the, like if we are doing the customization, if clients are navigating some screens, okay, some users will come and they will click on account and they will click on news and they will click on here charter activity, and after that I have my own component. If they click on it, suddenly my component should not appear in something like a different view. Here font is different. Now if I place my component here, which is showing as a classic view or showing as some different font, it's suddenly changing the UI context, right? I'm changing the UI context there. I'm changing the styling of the Salesforce. So that will show not good for the UI. If you view the UI, it has to be clear. Everywhere the same font, everywhere same coloring, and it should have a proper header, and when I click on something, it should be changed into the different color. It has to be applied. So this styling has to be applied, whether it is a standard component or whether it is a custom component. If we are implementing the custom component, we should not make the users to feel, okay, this is a custom component, that's why it is showing some ugly or some different font or some different way. No, we should not be doing that. We have to maintain the Salesforce font. We have to maintain the Salesforce styling. In order to maintain that Salesforce styling and Salesforce, whatever the page layout, utility, icons, whatever we have it, okay? In order to maintain that, we have to use this extends equal to force:/SLDS. Extends equal to force:/SLDS means I'm going to use the SLDS for the look and feel that Lightning has, the Salesforce Lightning has. What are the Salesforce Lightning has the look and feel? I'm going to apply the same look and feel for this application also. So this application, I'm automatically applying it by mentioning it as a extends equal to force:/SLDS, where it will apply all the Salesforce changes. Any questions on this extends equal to force:/SLDS?
Ma'am, hello. Hello.
Yeah, Pankaj.
Yeah, ma'am. Can you take one example and like show us like how we can apply this SLDS on the component?
Okay, I'll take the same component. So now here, whatever we have implemented, okay. Now I cannot go to the different tabs, and because we have not reached it, how to put the output label, input label, everything we have not reached that point. Okay, when we reach that point, output label, input text, button, how to build a button, then I can show you. But better example is this one for now, because this is our first program. This is our first program. Now, if you do not write this, I'll remove this. Let's say now what is happening here? What is happening there?
It applied HTML tags. General
Yes.
HTML.
Do you see differences here? The text differences.
Yes.
Pankaj, do you see the differences, how it is displaying everything? If you
Yes,
place
yes,
this
yes.
component here, how it looks like? You are changing entirely.
Yes, yes.
Now, if I change back the component, force colon SLDS, save. Is it matching right now? At least some point of time it is matching with this.
Yes.
So when we implement a button, right here buttons, how it is displaying it, how the submit buttons is displaying, how the header is displaying. When we move on implementing the input text buttons, that time you see the differences when we, if we do not use the extend equal to SLDS, force colon SLDS, you will definitely see that lot of difference between the Salesforce Lightning styling and the custom component that you have implemented. Now, what we have learned so far? What we have learned so far?
Lightning bundles component.
Lightning bundles or a
Bundles.
Lightning component naming codes.
Lightning.
Client side, but client side,
Client
server
side.
side.
Versus server side.
Server side.
Lightning component and application.
Lightning application bundle.
Creating new Lightning component.
Page. Component.
Creating new Lightning application. And what is the command that we have learned today? Attribute.
C colon component name.
Colon component.
Lightning component in Lightning application.
Where we write this C colon component name.
Lightning
In
application.
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 Application or
To call
in
component.
another component.
Yeah. And what else we have learned?
SL Lightning design.
Salesforce Lightning design system.
What is the command for that?
Extend
Force
equals to
Extend force dot SL design.
Extends equals to force dot SL.
force colon
SLDS.
Force colon
Colon.
SLDS.
And naming convention of component and application. Rules here.
Right?
Aura.
What are other things we have learned? Component configurations. Where are these component configurations?
while creating the Aura component, there is a
Yes. So here, do you see here? Now I'll just give you the introduction, what will happen if we select this, but we will discuss later. Okay. Just a intro. Okay. Testing component. Now I'll click on this Lightning tab and submitting it. Usually what happens, it creates the Aura colon component, right? This is the usual. When I click on the component without selecting this, if I submit it, it creates the just a Aura colon component. But if I check this, and click on a submit, then there is a interface is going to implement here.
Okay.
Okay, we will discuss this tomorrow. What is this implements?
Ma'am, it will support all HTML tags.
Sorry?
Aura component will support all HTML tags.
Yes, that's what I have written.
Okay.
So when we check that component configuration, it adds this attribute. What is this attribute? We will see tomorrow. We will detail discussion on the force. What is the force? What is the after colon? And what is implements? What is extends? What are those attributes? We will see tomorrow. Okay. Now questions. Okay, what is the answer for this? What is the question for this answer?
Server side.
Server side.
Server side.
Client side.
Client side.
Client side, ma'am. Yeah, client side.
What is the question for this?
Client side.
What the
Client
client side means. What is client side for us?
What is the client side means is the means process that takes place on user's computer.
User's computer.
Next. Oh, nice. What is server side means?
Server side means
Process that takes
Process
place
that
Process
takes
that
place
takes
on
server.
web
Server.
server.
process.
What is the
B.
server side?
Easy. Process
Baby.
takes place on
Third
the
one, process takes
third
place
one.
on
Web server.
Second one.
Third one.
third one.
Why third
Second.
one?
It will be second web server.
Web server is the right.
Web server is not same as web browser, right?
No.
Yes, then web server.
What are component configurations?
Lightning.
What are the
Lightning page, lightning code page.
Which one?
Second one.
Lightning.
Component configurations are lightning tab, lightning page,
Component
code page, experience builder site page, lightning quick action. Naming rule for lightning component.
Starts with alphabets, contains underscores.
Contains alphanumerics. It should not contain two underscores consequently.
And does not contain underscore at the
End
end.
with underscores.
Must be unique.
No white space.
Unique.
Must be a
And we
unique
should not
name.
use underscore.
Unique component name.
with a letter.
So answer must be begin with letter. It should contain alphanumeric or underscore characters. And then it should be unique in the namespace. What should not contain? No white space, no underscore at the end of the name. And it should not contain the two consecutive underscores. Now this is the homework. Take a screenshot of the homework. Okay, in the meantime, if anybody has any questions, please go ahead. I'm done with the class. Okay, if nobody has any questions. Thank you.
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
Yes. Go ahead.
ma'am, a small request from my side. Is it possible to teach the lightning after completion of Visual Force? Because it will little bit confusing for me.
Yes, ma'am. Like if both of them have been combined, like for now it's okay as it is starting. Like when we go on further, right?